Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Thunder Force. Thunder Force is a 2021 superhero comedy about two childhood friends who reunite and become an unlikely superhero duo trying to save the city. Now, generally, I really try to give Melissa McCarthy the benefit of the doubt. I think she is really talented, a really fun comedian, and when given great material, McCarthy is fantastic, whether in dramatic roles or comedies. I think she has so much potential that unfortunately often falls into subpar material. Plus, Octavia Spencer is another actress who is fantastic, but oftentimes finds herself wandering into these projects that just don't quite meet the caliber of her skill. So I thought pairing these two really funny ladies up in this superhero comedy could be a recipe for a blast for Netflix. And then I realized Ben Falcone was directing, and that is Melissa McCarthy's biggest career downfall, is tying herself to her husband's directorial efforts. And I have to just say it now as we get into this review. Ben Falcone must be stopped. We have to stop letting him make projects. And Melissa McCarthy, please stop starring in the films that he pitches. What in the world? Because once again, Melissa McCarthy is starring in a film so far below her talents, and it's because it was directed by her husband. So instead of restoring all of these other cinematic universes, can we get the hashtag stop Ben Falcone universe trending? Because this is just getting too much already. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, the positives for me are a little bit hard to come by, if I'm being completely honest. I do think Melissa McCarthy is fine and is trying to make this material work. Octavia Spencer is her usual warm, kind of charming self here as well. And there is some chemistry there that just unfortunately isn't utilized well, but it's there. And the premise is there. It was a fun idea for a film. But honestly, that's about as far as my positives go. Because honestly, Thunder Force at best is just boring and bland, and at worst is bad. So let's go ahead and talk about the negatives of the film. And as I just mentioned, it's so dull and boring. That is the biggest problem this film faces. It's a superhero comedy starring Melissa McCarthy, Octavia Spencer, Bobby Cannavale, Jason Bateman. Such an all-star cast. And it is so dry, so dull, so boring. This does not even clock in at 2 hours, and I was constantly checking the time because it just dragged on and on and on. It honestly felt like it was going on forever. There are no laughs, not even chuckles. And in honesty, there aren't really that many attempts at laughs. And when we do get very clearly set up joke moments, they're cringe. Everything to do with Jason Bateman's character in this film is full on cringe, and I hated it. Everything else is just such broad Dollar Tree level type of jokes and humor that the worst of comedians could come up with, and probably still do better than what we got here. Not to mention more than your fair share of just straight up outdated bad jokes. Yeah, Fortnite is forced into this film. Palm Clementine is in this, and I think she's trying as well, but oh my gosh, she is horrible in this movie. Oh my gosh. Of course, Ben Falcone is in here, and honestly, I think he makes for better, like, very small comedic relief, a la Bridesmaids, than he does as a writer or director, because the directing is just so bland, so uninspired. This film really pushes for not only comedy, but action, and it's all shot poorly. The special effects are not good, but then we also strive for heartfelt emotion. A lot of legwork goes into trying to build up these characters and this bond and this whole emotional payoff, but it falls so hard. One, because it's not very believable. Two, because you just don't care. Three, because it's just written so poorly. And I have to say, this film feels far from empowering. That's what I loved about Spy, other than the fact that it was, actually really funny. It was actually quite empowering for Melissa McCarthy. And she was great at her job. She knew what she was doing. She was competent. And we still had the funny kind of sight gags or physical humor mixed in, and it didn't take away from her as a character. But then we get to something like Thunder Force, and they almost feel incompetent most of the time. There's nothing really uplifting or empowering about our two lead characters and what they're doing. And then those outfits are horrible. Talk about putting these two women in probably the most unflattering things that I could imagine. But I guess as a positive, particularly when it comes to a Ben Falcone, Melissa McCarthy team up film, it's rarely offensive. Outside of the stuff having to do directly with Melissa McCarthy and Raw Chicken or Jason Bateman's character, everything else in here is just so mundane and boring that it's hard to leave angry or feeling much passion any which way at all, which is probably the most condemning part about it. So overall, Thunder Force is just bland. It's just boring. If you do decide to watch it, I think you're going to struggle to even make it all the way through without falling asleep or turning it off. And if you make it through, you're going to forget all about this film instantly after you're finished with it. Once again, Ben Falcone continues to make bad films and drag his wife's career down with him. And it's unfortunate and actually quite frustrating to watch. So I do not recommend Thunder Force, which pains me, but it just isn't good or worth your time. So that is my review for Thunder Force. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. Also, make sure to join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Thunder Force? And what is your favorite Ben Falcone, Melissa McCarthy team up film? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!